There we go.
There we go.
Thank you, Will.
There we go. I see the signal. All right. I'd like to call the meeting order of the City of Monona Planning Commission, Monday, November 23rd, 2020. Please call the roll.
Chair Moore.
Here.
Alder Goforth.
Here.
Ms. Fox.
Here.
Mr. Peterson. Here. Mr. Fallett.
Here.
Mr. Homburg.
Here.
Mr. Holmquist and Mr. Steiner excused.
Great. Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from November 9th, 2020?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Great. Any changes?
I saw one thing under new business, item B. It says Mr. Devin O'Callahan is the attorney. It's Dan O'Callahan is the attorney's name.
Okay.
Oh, right. Devin Storage.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll mash up.
Anything else? Right. All those in favor of approving the minutes as amended, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, minutes carry. There's obviously no one here for appearances, unless you have somebody online that you're not telling us about, Doug.
Nobody here at City Hall. I don't know if Devin Renner, if you were looking to
Devin,
appear.
were you here just to listen in, or did you have something you wanted to share tonight?
Yeah, a lot of Devons here tonight. No, I'm not. I'm just listening tonight.
Okay.
Thanks.
Great.
Thank you.
We'll move to number 5, unfinished business. 5A, public hearing on the request by Wisconsin Physician Service, WPS, for approval of revisions to lots 2 and 4 of the certified survey map 10267 at 1717 West Broadway, case number 2-0162020. Doug, since there's no one here to present, would you like to walk us through the paces, please?
Yeah, I can just give an overview of the application. So this is the public hearing for the new CSM that is proposed. It's a 2-lot CSM. It's really to modify 2 lots with the intent of one of those being repositioned in order to be sold by WPS for possible redevelopment. So it's really the easternmost parcel of the WPS campus, which has both an office building and the parking structure. They're proposing that currently has a slither that runs the entire width of the site all the way to the west over to Gisholt and Engel. So they're proposing reallocating some of that back to another parcel and effectively redrawing the lines there. So it would be those two boundaries or 2 parcels that would be affected. You can see there were very few changes from the pre-hearing in terms of the documents that were submitted, and the sort of proposal hasn't changed from that.
Okay. Thank you. That being said, then I'm going to close the public hearing portion and move to 5B, consideration of action on the request by Wisconsin Physician Service, WPS, for approval of revisions to lots 2 and 4 of the certified survey map 10267, 1717 West Broadway, case number 2-016-2020. Doug?
Thank you. I'll just give a brief staff overview of this. As I said, the application hasn't changed. There were a couple comments at the pre-hearing. They were addressed. It was just a couple small tweaks to the maps themselves, as well as including kind of a, it's not the best base map, but just something trying to show existing conditions in there as well. I would like to bring the Commission's attention to the document I shared this morning. This was reviewed at the city's request by Veerbecker, one of their professional surveyors, and that letter was sent around this morning by email. There were a lot of sort of small comments that were made, but I did check that they were comfortable that these could be, they were more just punch list type items that could be addressed potentially administratively if that's the will of the Commission. So I would propose, and it was not included in the staff report, but a possible fourth condition that these items be addressed to the satisfaction of staff. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Josh, would you like to start us off tonight?
Sure. Yeah, I wasn't able to participate in the last commission meeting, but just reviewing the notes and the minutes, I don't see any major issues with this, and it seems like the rest of the commission agreed. This seemed like a fine plan. And I agree with Doug, based on the comments coming in from Bierbacher, I think we'd want to make sure that they get their survey buttoned up in alignment with those comments. So no concerns from my end.
Okay, great. Chris?
Agree with Josh's comments.
Okay, great. Corinne, do you have anything?
Just, I guess, is it typical to have this many comments? I was surprised.
They were thorough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of details in a map like this are already there, and that's what they are, really responding to. Just a lot of very, and because if you catch one and you don't catch another, then if it comes around again, which is to say work is going to get done on that property another, once it's sold, then you have conflicting information on the, what is the current map, right? Christine?
I think Chris Homburg has his hand up. Oh, maybe it's a comment on that.
Just as an answer to Corinne, sometimes the applicant is in a hurry to get this going, and so they've got to go through public works, 2 hearings with plan commissions and 2 hearings with the city council. So sometimes an applicant may get a rough draft together, not something that's ready to be recorded, and just start getting the process going and say, I know I've got a lot of details I got to touch up. They may even have some survey work left for all we know, which is why as a city, we generally have our consultant review it to make sure we're approving something that we're comfortable with, which is why the city's consultant took a look at it. So this is a lot of comments, but it depends on where the applicant was in their process for creating a CSM sometimes too.
Okay, yeah, because it seems, it's not just like, there's legal discrepancies here. So that's important.
Right, which is why the city usually tries to have somebody, another surveyor or whatever, review it before we approve it.
Right. Doug, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, just wanted to thank, I should have said this earlier, but thank you to Chris for bringing that to my attention, that to have Bierbacher look at it. I appreciate that.
Me too. Christy?
Nothing really to add. Yeah, I really appreciated Bierbacher, going through with a fine tooth comb and cleaning that up. They definitely caught some little things, and no concerns at all about this project.
Okay, great. And Susan?
Nope, nothing to add.
Okay. That being the case, do I have a motion?
I'll move approval. Doug, add or under your recommendation, add Plan Commission recommends City Council, and then the rest of it. So it'd read Plan Commission recommends City Council approval of a 2-lot certified survey map. And then condition 1 is written, condition 2, change it to the cross access easement for all lots shall be provided to staff for review and approval. And 3 is written, and 4, that this is contingent on final staff approval of CSM, including the consultant's review.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, great. Yep, Chris.
The reason I reworded the very beginning, Doug, is we don't technically approve this. We recommend approval to City Council, and it's up to City Council whether or not they approve it. So I'm being like Bierbacher. I'm being a little technical.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. So I have a motion and I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. I don't know that we made the record, but that's pretty good, you guys. There is no new business. Reports from staff and commission members. Doug, do you have anything?
Yes, so there's a couple of potential items upcoming, and I think some of this will depend. Both would likely have engineering review included as part of this with Via Becker. So still looking to coordinate. I know that the Devon self-storage application is looking to keep things moving, but certainly there's a lot of, based upon feedback, there's a lot of stormwater components and things like that would be a part of that application. So we'll see if December 14th is realistic. It may move to that first one in January. The same goes, I had a call today with the engineers working on the Monona Grove High School. They're looking to do a artificial turf field and track upgrades as well. Again, that would also be a zoning permit with engineering review component to it. So that one would most likely be a pre-hearing as well as a formal consideration. So we may, depending on sort of scheduling and things, we may have the pre-hearing at the 14th, but I'll certainly look to coordinate. I don't know if people are traveling, but just make sure we have quorum and those things as well. I will certainly, I've noted that the 28th will be canceled, but whether we have something on the 14th or not,
Okay.
just to be determined at this point.
Okay, great. Thank you. Do we have any plan commission requests for information from city staff?
I do. Yeah, I was wondering, based on our discussion at the last meeting, and just looking at the timing with WPS kind of reconfiguring their property, I'm wondering if we can't start embarking on the mission to update the Broadway corridor plan, and maybe specifically taking a really good look at the Southtown site, seeing that is really one of our biggest retail properties that we have in Monona. If we can't start kind of creating a vision for that site at this point.
Are you envisioning that we would, I mean, I'm assuming that most of the plans that I know that most of the plans that we've done have been plans that we hired a consultant to work with us on.
Yeah, I think
in case we've already gone through the budgeting process, which doesn't take it out of the question, but I guess we can certainly discuss it as a committee and see if that's something. It's not something that we as a plan commission would do. It would be something that the city would initiate.
Yeah, and I was thinking if we thought of Southtown as kind of a special area plan, I thought maybe that could be something that staff could kind of start assembling or looking at with our guidance and input.
Well, again, I think it would be something that we would hire an outside person. It wouldn't be something that, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I think Alder Moore alluded to it last time, but if we're going to look at a particular site, that starts getting down to CDA, I think.
Yeah.
Because what we do with our plans is we'll plan areas, and we can have special areas of interest, but for us per se to go in and plan the Southtown exact area, that's like, say we target right across from high school and CDA says, okay, this is the area we want to redevelop it, and they start something with it. I'm not aware of a time where as a plan commission, we've gotten down to the minutia of a particular site. I think updating the Broadway corridor plan is a great idea. I think we update it as the plan, and then when we're doing that, we could create it as an area of special concern within the plan.
Yeah.
But to get down to the minutia of saying that this is exactly what we need on that site, that's getting beyond our charge to do the master planning, the zoning, the things like that, and then the specific made approvals. So I think it's what Nancy was trying to say before, that somewhere we get to where we're stepping on the toes of CDA, or sure how they feel about it or if they want to get involved in that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I do. Oh,
go ahead.
I was just saying, yeah, I understand that. I was just thinking of the Broadway corridor plan and making sure we have stakeholders like WPS And, since they're undergoing their master planning and the two properties basically butt up to each other, it might be just really smart to have, kind of a comprehensive discussion of that whole area.
Yeah.
So I happen to know that Doug has several copies of the Broadway design plan in his office. I know Chris carries one in his briefcase at all times.
I do.
But
I carry all the plans in case there's a question.
yeah, I know you do. But I'm betting that the rest of us haven't seen it. So maybe
I have a copy also. You can actually download it.
Good for you, Susan.
Back when it came up a while back on, when questions were raised about it, I was curious, and yeah, it's outdated and it's been violated. So from that standpoint, it works. hasn't been followed 100%. Put it that way.
Right. So
you could have a relook.
I'm thinking that might make sense is that if we all got a copy of the current plan, so that you can see what such a plan. So then when we're talking about an update of a plan, what the heck we're talking about and the kinds of things that go into that kind of a plan. That might be a good thing for all of us to get a copy of it and see what it says for starters. Corinne, go ahead, and then I'll get back. Go.
Yeah, I guess at the last meeting too, there was, we had a discussion about how there's that separation between the commission and the CDA by design, but that Chris had mentioned in the past, there maybe were opportunities where the two did have a little bit more synergy or were able to have some discussions. And I guess it seems like this might be one of those times where that would be really useful if we are going to move forward to revisit that plan. I mean, I don't know exactly what that would look like, but I guess that would be something that I would be interested in learning more about how that could work, or if it's something that's feasible.
Sure. So I have actually was just about to say that I have already reached out to the two alders that are on the CDA, and I'm going to reach out to Tom Stolper, who's the chair, just to find out what their schedule is and tell them that there's some interest on our end of revisiting that plan and kind of getting our joint heads together a little bit more about the direction and just see if that's something that they're interested in, and we could probably schedule something for after I'm not guessing that it's going to happen in the next meeting or that this next probably over the holidays, but probably early next in the beginning of this next year we could probably if all of us in the meantime kind of got up to snuff, and I can talk to Tom and Doug can certainly as well. We can put our heads together with Doug and come up with a plan to have a joint meeting. Because the thing is too that because there is this separation, just because we don't have a lot of in front of us as a plan commission doesn't mean that there isn't a lot going on at CDA. I mean, development projects take a really long time, as some of us know here, and and I can tell you, for instance, the last time I checked in, well, I can ask you, but I know the last time I checked in with the mayor, she said was 6 or 7 things that are boiling, but something that's boiling can be still 2 years down the road, right? Doug, can you give us any more insight there in terms of?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, I get calls about the, the undeveloped sites or the potential sites here in the city. Probably get a couple calls, each month about different ones and people ready to engage professional service firms, ready to, eager to get going. But one of the first stops would, of course, be, a pre-hearing with the Plan Commission, or at least, particularly if there's TIF money involved, speaking to the CDA. And it's really a case of getting them to that first step and foot in the door to begin that process. Until then, it really has to be treated as kind of speculative. We we share the information we can, but it's often tricky going from that to that first step, you know, and getting them in and being able to have those conversations.
Right, right. Yeah, Chris, go ahead.
I just wanted to reinforce one thing you had mentioned earlier is in the last 25 to 30 years, I can't think of a single plan that we've put together that we haven't had a consultant engaged for the help, because we just it's overwhelming with one staff member and no facilities and no background in a lot of these to be able to put it together. So we've given a lot of guidance. We've had some good meetings, but then they help put the nuts and bolts of the plan together for us. And they have suggestions, of course, too, of what current standards might be or current expectations. But at some point, if we're going to do this, when we do this, we will need to allocate some money for some consultant to help us, I think.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, but so again, I think if it's okay with folks, what I'd like to do is, I'll talk to Doug, I'll talk to Doug and Jennifer, who are the two alders, and to Tom Stoper, who's the chair over at CDA. And, as I said, maybe in the meantime, if people can get a copy from Doug of the Broadway design plan, and if they don't have it already in their briefcase or on their bookshelf, and then and then like I said, we can touch base with CDA and see if it makes sense to get together sometime after the first of the year to talk about whether or not it makes sense to try to do some sort of an update or a revision of that, and if so, it's not like we couldn't hire a consultant, but again, it would have to be a separate budget item, and we've already passed the 2021 budget, and I know that it would be pretty tough right now given that we're still in COVID and we've already dipped significantly into the fund balance just to keep everybody on staff. I think it would, unless it was something we felt was really going to advance what's going on at CDA at the moment and with us right now. I think it might be a tough sell, but I'm to have a separate line item or a separate budget item, separate down the pike to do something like that right away. Unless we felt like there was going to be an immediate return on it, is my point, because we're kind of dangling on the edge, having gone through a tough, this tough COVID year in terms of, in order to pass, this year's operating budget, we already had to dip into our fund balance by over $250,000. And that's with a zero budget. So, we're not exactly feeling flush at the moment. But it's not just, if it's something that both committees felt was really important to do, we should talk about it. Yeah.
We do have the tools at our disposal to, if there's something that the commission feels we need to be looking at or adjusting, we have a lot of flexibility in our zoning ordinance and a lot of tools to craft a vision of what we think might be appropriate. So it's not that we're toothless.
Right.
We have the teeth. It's just if we're talking about having overriding design district, it helps when Doug looks to applicants, but we still have the ability to take a look at our community and look at if we think it meets our goals and our master plan and our zoning ordinance. We always have that.
Right. Okay. Anything else? Anybody want to add anything to what any other thoughts? Corinne, Josh, Susan, any thoughts on this?
No, I am interested in looking at the past plan.
Yeah.
Doug, when I return, I'll reach out to you and see if I can get a copy of it.
Is there one for Monona Drive as well?
Yes,
There
we have,
is.
Recent,
we have
that's
Monona
more
Drive
recent.
guidelines, yes. We have
Very
Monona Drive access guidelines and as a separate document, and then Monona Drive design guidelines.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those are pretty recent from the last.
Much more recent, yes.
Yeah.
Broadway corridor is certainly the oldest one.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, the Monona Drive one was done around the time that, or one of the ones that I've seen anyway was done around the time that Monona Drive was updated itself. That was a huge investment on the city's part, in part to spur development along that drive, and so there was quite a bit of discussion about what type of development should go, sort of towards the Beltline end versus, all the way up. So, but we do have both, and we could certainly send the Monona Drive one. We could certainly send to people too. I think the Monona Drive one might actually be something that you could send virtually, where the Broadway one is I don't know that we have it unless we've scanned it. I think it's probably just in hard copy, right?
We do have a PDF.
Okay.
It's in the depths of the website, but just given the nature of how it was printed, it didn't scan too well. So I do prefer the paper copy for it. But I'll certainly plan to share these all digitally in the first email, but then can certainly follow up with paper copies as requested.
Great.
Thank you.
Super. Anything else? Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
I'll move to- no, I'll second.
Okay, great. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Right.
Hi.
Great. Hey, everybody have a fantastic Thanksgiving.
Right.
You too.
Thanks for jumping in tonight. Josh, have a fantastic time.
Yes, enjoy.
On South, we're envious.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good to see everyone.
All right.